We now move forward to 2012 and hear from those currently involved. Some old clips of film from 2009 have also been shared with you.
I've only been chairman for 2 years. It's quite a responsibility given that the flower show has been operating at least since the 1920s and very probably has its origins in the 19th century horticultural societies that sprang up all over the UK.
So we're 4 weeks away from the flower show. Any idea what the weather forecast is like to be this year?
Maybe August will be sunny and it will be wonderful if we get away with it again at the flower show because it's so much better. Last year we had rain right at the very end. Fortunately it held off for the show itself.
Running a show is quite demanding financially, so how do you manage?
It is, in the sense that we start off, of course, with the fact that the flower show is a non-profit making event. We're lucky enough to have 50 or 60 loyal patrons who each year contribute a relatively modest amount, but in aggregate that covers the really the main risk of the show, which is the cost of hiring the marquee and so forth, and that therefore, if by some awful accident we had terrible weather for the show and our gate receipts were right down, at least we are covering our fundamental cost.
And I would think the flower show for Orford is one of the highlights for the village because people are always, the villagers start doing their marmalades or start doing their vegetables or start planting things. The week before we put up the signs, we maybe have Radio Suffolk, but we don't advertise or put posters up because we feel this is a village event. It brings the village together on that day.
So how long have you been growing the grapes in here?
11 years. This is the best crop. They're black Hamburg. It's a very old-fashioned variety. And that bunch is about £2 in weight.
And in the past you've won some prizes for your grapes.
Well, yes, most years we've won prizes and we hope to win some more this year.
We need 3 for the 4-inch class, and these we hope are going to be the smaller ones, the 2-inch, less than 2-inch, and that, if you look at the back of that, it is a complete ball. The petals are completely closed up, and that is a real pom-pom. And this is where I spend the week before the flower show, probably most of my time cooking, preparing. Here I'm just getting ready to do the piccalilli. So there's some green beans that have been chopped up. And we've got cauliflower, which I'm going to cut up into small pieces. Courgettes, red pepper, and the onions that I've just got off the allotment, which have got to be peeled.
I'm thinning them out so we get a better crop. If you don't thin them out, they don't bulk up and you just get thin pencil-like carrots. So for the show you have to thin them out and hope that the fly don't get in, and that way you get a decent sized carrot. Well, here we've got one of Orford's giant marrows, and hopefully it's the winning one.
So how long have you been exhibiting at the Orford Flower Show?
Probably from about the mid-70s. And the trouble is, when you win a prize you tend to get addicted then.
So what are you hoping for in 2012?
Not a lot. It's not a very good year.
It's now the 24th of August, the day before the show, and work starting on the recreation ground.
I'm Ian Castle. I act as the marquee manager for the Orford
Gedgrave and Subbourne Flower Show. Today is Friday, the day we set the marquee up, arrange the tables, set out all the places for the different flower categories, vegetable categories and all the other entries for the show. The forecast is a bit iffy. It shows a dull morning and then some sun, but with rain interspersed. And very few firms nowadays have this sort of marquee. This is a traditional marquee.
So what's so special about it?
Well, it lets the light in beautifully, a lovely soft light. Also the smell of the canvas plus the smell of the vegetables and the flowers give the whole thing an ambience which you can't achieve in a village hall or in any other form of plant.
What they call the field manager, which on the face of it might sound very grand, but actually it's just, you need to have somebody that you can blame if things go wrong. So we've got lines of bales for the running track, we've got bales I'm sitting on at the moment are used for the bicycle machine in our famous dog race at the end of the day, and we have other bales around, behind the coconut shy and behind the bowling. And that's what they're used for, but it's really very nice that they've still got square bales, because now with all these modern things they're normally great big bales, but hopefully this will continue going forever.
Ben Johnson, I think, took over from Neville Spinney, and he has been doing it brilliantly ever since, and there's a tremendous amount to do on that field. All those bales of straw to begin with, and a lot of people put a lot of work into it and make it really good.
Another popular one is the wet sponges. Father puts her face in behind the screen, and the rest of the family throw wet sponges at them. Later on we'll have a whole lot of stands around with the electronic marble machine and Orford curling and other stands for various clubs. And
How many have you got working on your team?
we have a very flexible workforce. Everything arrived early this morning, so I had to quickly contact as many as I could, and I think we've got about 8 or 9 people who've dropped everything and come rushing out.
We're one of the last flower shows presented in the traditional way, with a large marquee and bunting and side shows, and I mean entertaining side shows as well as side stalls. The object of the flower show, as I understand it, is simply to give a very happy, entertaining way for the villagers to enjoy themselves.
August the 25th, 2012, show day. The marquee starts to fill up.
been up since 5.
There are a huge number of people involved, not just the 20-odd strong committee that looks after the flower show and the various activities, but there is an enormous number of helpers and people who simply just want to lend a hand at the preparation and indeed afterwards.
Have you seen triggers?
Shall we put it on the floor?
You sure you're all right with that? Well, you can give us a hand if you like.
Is there an entry the biggest size? Okay, if you wouldn't mind passing it to her for me. Thank you very much.
So what do you think is important about this flower show, as far as you're concerned?
Well, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for people in the village to all come along and see the same thing and relax in a friendly atmosphere. And it really is, I find, very friendly, particularly by the time at the crescendo of the thing, which of course is the dog race. I mean, there's a really good ambience.
9:45. The judges have arrived and the stewards take up their positions.
When I came to live here, then within a short time I was asked to be the entry secretary.
You say now you're more involved with the stewards.
I'm given a list of the judges in advance, and then I ring people who have done it previous years. Fortunately, people amaze me every year that they're quite happy to carry on doing this. And so I get the required number of stewards. They go around with the judges and write down the winners of all the classes, first, second and third. Those papers are then sent, one to the person who's doing the computer entries and one person to the treasurer, who then has to write all the names on little envelopes so people can collect their monetary prizes. In fact, I think some have been doing it ever since I took over this job, so 15 years or so. Tony Logan, he was originally steward and then he's now judging the wine section.
You should have a spit of tune, you see, and spit it out, but I don't think some of the judges don't spit it out.
That's true. Now this one is number 4.
His wife Bridget, she's been doing the children's section, and other people have been doing it, but they've swapped the subjects that they're doing. They might start off with preserves and go on to vegetables, or the other way round. Cookery is obviously rather a sensitive area. Kipper pate and icing on cakes, etc. And of course the marquee does get a bit warm. So although I don't think anybody had any untoward consequences, it is a bit hard on the cookery judges to have to sample all these things, which could potentially be quite dangerous. So we're now much more aware of that, and things like that are not put in the schedule anymore. Entries are put on the computer, except the ones on Saturday morning. They're all put on in advance, and it's just the winners that are put on the day, which is a lot of work, but
And this is all going on behind the scenes?
Yes.
Whereabouts?
Results were actually taken to David Barnwell's house, and he put it on the computer there. And you think there are 176 or 175 classes, and there are 3 winners, first, second and third in each class. And so in order to calculate the cups, all that has to be taken into account. And then later in the morning, the patrons have the opportunity to vote on the overall winner, the best in show. The first year, it was a beautiful red rose produced by Helen de Winter, and she was so overcome by this honour that the following year she presented a beautiful rose bowl to be awarded to the best in show.
I think the children enjoy it, and we gear things so that their children, we've tried getting more things that they would like. The railway, the mini train, has also been quite a popular
I'm
event.
sorry, Toby. Toby, I'm sorry. Look at... All right, enough. You'll give the boys and girls a headache.
Railway comes and they don't charge for themselves, they just charge for Reach. Reach is a charity for young children.
That was one of the Wensleydale sheep passing her opinion on the afternoon's proceedings. That was Susie who was talking, and the other one is B. Thank you very much.
And this year, in fact, for the first time ever in my experience, it rained for about half an hour. But rain was pending, and I think the number of people that came this year was a little bit down on what would have been expected if rain hadn't been threatened. But it's a principle that it never rains on Flower Show Day. This was the occasion when people were supposed to gather round to applaud the prize winners, and it started to rain almost immediately, with the consequence that everyone sensibly leapt for cover, not only in the marquee itself, but also in the various, whatever shelter the small sideshows could offer.
Congratulations.
And that has never happened before, in my knowledge, and it won't happen again, of course.
I'm going to be rather good.
Well done. This is the first heat. There are 2 heats for the circles. 8 to 11.
Marathon coming through.
Look at that! Whoa, whoa, whoa! No, Tilly, that's what you got to get.
That's what you got to get.
Yeah, all shout!
Right. Are you ready? You're on this side, audience.
I think my first success was the Blue Room for the best exhibit in the show was for a play of Shallots. 50s, early 50s.